Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Really glad to have everyone patch in today. As Ed and I are recording this, it's the Monday after Thanksgiving. So we've had a nice long weekend. Hopefully everyone else has too. By the time everyone listens to this, it'll be past Christmas. So hopefully everyone's Christmas and New Year's has been just wonderful. But glad to be back at it after a real long, good weekend. This episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. We are growing like so many of you are growing. We do it all the same ways, or try to do it all the same ways you do, with traditional advertising, direct mail, more current advertising as it relates to digital marketing and some of those sorts of things. But lately, the last 3, 4, 5 years or so, we have been growing via acquisition. And so if you ever go to our site, moxieservices.com, see any of those dots on the map where we operate out of. We've got 35 locations across the country. And you are a smaller operator or a mid-size operator, probably, $2-3 million mark or below. We would love to talk to you if you've thought about getting in or getting out of the industry, or turning the page on whatever chapter it is in your life. If you want to golf more, work less, we would love to have those conversations and let you know what we've done for many, many, many people in your probably current market right now. We found a real good niche in that size to be able to acquire if you're interested in divesting. So you can call me directly or text me. My cell is 480-254-9730. Or you can email me directly at clark@moxiepestcontrol.com. We've got Ed Bredemeyer on today. He has been in the industry for a long, long time. Very excited for him to share some of his experience with us. He describes himself as an industry insider. He's worked in structural pest control and vector control for 25 plus years now. He's worked in sales, he's worked in marketing and market development, and now he's the sales director for North America for Pertinent Eco-Solutions. And he's been there for the last several years and has found that the company really lines up with his values as a person. And so I'm excited to talk more about that. Ed, glad to have you on. Happy Monday. How are you doing today?
I tell you what, Austin, I'm still digesting turkey, but that's okay.
You and me both. Yeah, you and me both. In fact, I try to have less turkey and more brisket. I say, why do we eat turkey when we can eat brisket or pulled pork or ribs? You know what I mean? So
barbecue's good with me too.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, real glad to have you on. Give us a little bit, maybe, Ed, some of your background. I mean, you've been in the industry 25 years. You didn't start 25 years ago where you are today. What has been some of your path?
Austin, I started off, I was a congressional aide in Washington, D.C. when I got out of college. I wrote letters and did stuff like that until my father told me that I needed to earn a living. So I came back home and I got a job with a small regional distributor named Estes Incorporated, which actually merged into Winfield many, many moons ago. And from there, I went to work in the vector control market for Central Life Sciences, at the time Zoicon Central Life Sciences. I worked there for 7 years. Then I was hired by Bayer Crop Science. I worked as a key account manager and a regional manager in the South Central region. Then went back to Central Life Sciences to be their national sales manager for PCO and vector control until 2020. And then came on and started freelancing and doing some different things with other companies in the structural pest control and vector control market. So, it's nobody starts out thinking they're going to do a certain thing. It all kind of melds over over years. And then you look up and it's 25 years later, and you went, wow, where'd the time go?
Yeah, that went by pretty quick. Yeah. Well, that is really interesting. I mean, at least in the pest control space, and you're kind of certainly in that space, but on the manufacturing and distributing and sales side, no one really at least that I've talked to, looks to get into pest control, it kind of finds them. But it seems like you've done a lot of interesting things in that space. I mean, how did you have all of those opportunities presented to you? Were you tapped on the shoulder for some? Were you recruited back? You said you were at one place, went left a couple of places, then came. Were you recruited back to others? How did you put yourself in a position to always have a career, always have an income, always have a job?
I always say it starts out by happen chance. I started out in the specialty ag market when I first worked for Estes Incorporated, and our pest control salesman quit. And our manager at the time, his name was Jimmy Howell, was in the industry a long time, said, "Ed, can you go to the San Antonio Pest Control Association meeting?" And I said, "Well, what do I have to do?" And he said, "Just answer the questions if anybody asks you anything. And if you don't know, say, I'll find out." I said, I can. So that's how I kind of got into it. And then I really enjoyed the structural pest control market because I kind of felt like it was one of the last true slices of Americana that's out there where you can start a business with, I won't say very little, but a smaller capital outlay and do very well for yourself. And you kind of got that last cusp of those guys that just said, "I'm going to start my business and I'm going to do well and I'm going to grow it." And, some guys were good growing their one truck operation, and they had a fantastic operation, and they did all the work themselves, bookkeeping themselves. And then I saw other guys that started with that one truck, and within 5 years, they had 4 trucks or 7 trucks or whatever. And then they so for me, kind of the old small business guy, I enjoyed the industry and seeing the different ways guys went about either growing their business, maintaining their business, growing their income. And a lot of guys started with, I won't say nothing, but very little, and did very, very well for themselves. So it was always intriguing to me.
Yeah, they were probably technicians at larger companies or other companies before, is usually how that all starts out. And I love that you say that. I've never heard it described as that before. I might start stealing that from you, but kind of the last slice of Americana. And it's really true. I mean, it's one of the industries that has relatively low barriers to entry. Yep. And if you've got the grind and a work ethic and a beat up truck and some interpersonal skills, you can really make it happen for yourself. And it's neat to still see that people certainly do that. So you've been, your role over the last 2 decades and a half or so, I mean, you've had the chance to be able to talk to a lot of these operators and to be able to, how would you say for them, have you been able to provide the most value to them? Or, you enjoyed being able to go in their shops, talk to them, obviously getting them great deals on product and equipment and all those other things. But how do you think you added value to them over the last couple of decades?
I would, a lot of times, Austin, I would say the best thing that you can do is just be honest. If you don't have the right information, the right product, the right application for them at the time, do the "I don't know," or the product that I have right now is probably not the best fit for you right now, And I think that is, the best way to build value in yourself and to give that customer value. Because your value is there. If you're an honest guy, you have good integrity, you'll have the solution for that customer. And I think that, we're all in business to be, to make money, to help each other. And honestly, I think it all boils down to money's just, it's a material thing. I value so many of my personal relationships in this business that I've had for 20 years. And I had those from, having good integrity and trying to fulfill the need that I'm needed in at the time, not just intersecting myself where I think I could get a sale. And that's how I think that the most value I've brought to the market.
Yeah, well, I think that endears people to people like you and others to be able to say, kind of like your old boss said, "Hey, could you go down and answer some questions? And if you don't know, tell them you don't know, but you'll find out real quick," sort of thing. And that is rare anymore. That's not the things the way they are now aren't the way necessarily that they used to be. So, well, maybe describe. So you're an industry insider for sure. What is it you do day in, day out? You don't necessarily have a boss so much anymore, but I mean, what does a week look like for you, or what does a day look like for you? How do you spend your time?
Well, I have, I guess, my job. Pertinent Eco-Solutions came onto the scene in 2021. These guys, they know the 25B space. They know what I would consider kind of ecocentric pest control, animal health solutions, and they wanted to develop more into the structural pest control market. I'm helping them do that with some various products. We came out last year with 360 IC, 25B structural pest control product. Barrier treatments, goes through misting systems. It's got a nice broad label. We've got some other products that we'll be launching for 2023. So be on the lookout for those. So my main job on a day-to-day basis is with Pertinent Eco-Solutions, helping them develop structural pest control, animal health, and vector control markets. I also have some other a contract sales company where I have other products that I go and I sell in various regions to help pay the bill, offset some costs, and have a good time, and still get to see my customer base and get to visit with my friends in the industry. And then I also work with another company that will be. I'll say more to come on that. I'll tune in next time, and I'll have more.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know as we were kind of prepping for this, you have been very excited about some of the things that are to come in the next 3 years, 5 years or so. You're going to leave us with a little bit of a cliffhanger, but how have you seen, Ed, over the last maybe decade or so, the pest industry evolve and develop? It seems like as technology has been introduced the last 20 years, as there's been more social introduced the last 10 years or so. I mean, you're constantly visiting with clients and fielding calls from them all of the time. What have you seen the pest control industry evolve into? And is it going in a good way? Is it going in a not so good way? Are we doing good for the earth? Are our kids or grandkids going to be better off, with some of these changes? What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a great question. That's a podcast into itself there, Austin. Yeah. So, no, the industry is like life. It's cyclical. I mean, we see stuff. When I first started, a lot of new products, a lot of new technology. It looked like almost every year you would go to MPMA, AMCA, one of these large, what I would call the national meetings, and there would be, a new product, a new application, and as we've gone in the last probably 10 years, it's been pretty status quo. I mean, there's been some blends of old actives and coming together, and what once was old is now new, but there hasn't been a tremendous amount of, like I said, technical investment from new actives into the market. Is that regulatory? Is that, we can go into each one of those, why and hows, why we haven't gotten them or all day long. And that's to be debated. But I think what we're going to see now is, I think we're seeing that cycle come back around where we're seeing technologies. I'm not necessarily saying new actives, but maybe new technologies that are for control methods. So I think we're going to start seeing it in the next 5 years. If you ask me to look into a crystal ball, new technologies, new actives, new ways to take care of pests in our market. So it's going to be an exciting time again. I read a book about I guess it's a year ago, called The Fourth Turning. And it was really neat to see the way they laid out life in Saculum's 80-year time blocks and how history repeats itself. And I can see business doing kind of the same thing in like a 20 or 30-year block, how we kind of come full circle. And it's going to be, I think we're in a really exciting time. I know the last few years haven't been a whole lot of fun for anybody in the business. Been challenging with customers. Thank goodness the structural pest control industry was considered a viable and needed business during the pandemic. And a lot of guys did well and kept their business going. And I think we're going to see the pest control business continue to grow and continue to succeed, and with new, interesting, and fun technologies coming.
Yeah, no, the last few years certainly have been interesting. I mean, the things were booming for a decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have this pandemic. We're trying to figure that out. We have like post-pandemic stuff. We're trying to figure that out. We have inflation just going nuts. We just finished some midterm elections. Elon Musk buys Twitter. People are freaking out about that. You know what I mean? And it just seems that there's always something. Current affairs. There's always something to talk about or figure out.
Yeah, it's one of those that you can't look in the crystal ball and tell exactly where you're going to be. But I think pest control's in a very good spot, and I think we're going to see some really cool stuff. Not only with software packages, application types of applications, types of products that'll be out there, types of technologies that are out there that we're going to see kind of implemented together. And I think pest control is definitely going to be more technical than it was 25 years ago. And I think we're going to see the game change a little bit here, where you're going to have to come in with a lot more, I'm even kind of getting to be a dinosaur at a lot of the technologies that are out there now, where you're, maybe you set up your customers via some type of mobile technologies. And I know that's already being done, but I think that's going to just continue to go along with, I think your customer's going to be a lot more informed themselves, where I've seen that in the last 10 years, where they know what you're applying on their property. They're not just looking at it knowing a trade name. They actually know the active ingredient. They know what it does. They know LD50s. They're a lot more of an informed consumer group.
Yeah, which I think is the way that we want it. I mean, an educated consumer consumes more, and they consume specifically what they want. And yeah, I'm with you. I think if the last decade was exciting, I think the next decade will be extremely, extremely exciting. You mentioned, Ed, a book that you read. What to be able to keep yourself, kind of at the peak and informed. I don't mean to say relevant either, but you have a busy role, and there's constantly new case studies and information. How is it that you keep yourself educated, either as it relates to books or podcasts? And have there been any of those things that have been really either influential or important to you over the years?
A ton. I have a lot of friends in the industry. I have a bad tendency to focus on things that I when I start consuming one thing, I get on. I call it the French fry kick. I eat nothing but that, and I get down into one day. I go, I'm kind of sick and tired of eating French fries, But I get super focused, and a lot of my friends bring me into other avenues like social media. I have a very good friend of mine. Probably you and I probably share. He's the owner of Data Wave, Dave Brannis. He's a great guy. He's brought me into a lot of different technologies and said, Ed, you need to look into this. And I have friends like that have guided me into, in different forms of media, different forms of, looking at different, how would you say, people that are different technologies that are coming in to the industry, where I was pretty focused on what I would call liquid granular insecticides, kind of taking, one avenue into pest control. And man, there's, opening your eyes to different rodenticides, the traps industries, larvicides. I mean, we can just go into a lot of different aspects of the business. And I think your contacts in this business are what guides me. I read a lot too. But a lot of what I read doesn't necessarily, interact with day-to-day business. It is, like I told you, it's that book. Fourth Turning had nothing to do with business, but when I read it, it related to what we were doing on a daily basis. So
made you think about it. Yeah. As we were kind of getting going before we went live, Ed, you had talked about where you are now at Pertinent and how the values of the company match up kind of with your own internal values. You're doing things anymore because you want to, not because anything else. What would you say, like what's exciting that's going on where you're at right now? What are some of those values? What gets you excited to wake up and do that type of work?
A lot of it is the way people do business. What I like about, take for instance, Pertinent Eco-Solutions, the guys, they are 100% performance-based company. They want the products that they put out on the shelf to perform what they say they're going to do, which is I'd say is industry standard, but they stand behind them and they're always looking to make the products better. And that's kind of what drew me to that line is premium performance, working to make things better, to make things, better for not only the consumer, which I would consider the homeowner, but also the applicator, that he's safe and taken care of and that he's getting premium performance out of there. And that makes the owner of the company more money because he's not having to go back on callbacks. He's getting what he pays for. It's a win-win-win solution. And that's what kind of drew me to that. And being a contractor now, the nice part is I look for those win-win-win opportunities. And if I can help them out, it's good for me, it's good for the company, and it's good for the guys that are on the ground putting the pesticides out. So that's what I look for now is a triple win.
Well, and I think that matters a lot. I think if I could sum up what you just said in one word, it would be value. Just before we got on, I was on a call. It was a marketing call. They wanted to do an analysis of our website and kind of give us a rundown of how we were doing, what we were doing well, maybe what they could help us out to improve, sort of thing. And we hopped onto our Google listing, and one of the top things that was mentioned over and over and over was value. And I think that if you can, whatever the offer is, the good or the service, regardless whether it's a insecticide or herbicide that you're representing or selling, or a pest control, residential pest control service that we're providing or selling here, I think that if you can communicate to the customer, set expectations, and really let them know what's going to happen. And if things go wrong, what a great opportunity to be able to say, let's figure that out. Why did that go wrong? Anyway, as you were saying that you really like the guys that you're with and Pertinent and how they stand behind, I was thinking, well, my experience with some of the products is we don't always get the results that we want, but 99 times out of 100, it's normally not because the product isn't good. The product's good. I think I heard a stat one time that it cost about $10 million to bring one label to market. And then maybe that's give or take a few million, but the product works. And so it's either like the education isn't there, or it's over application or under application, or the conditions weren't just conducive, or there's a lot of things that can happen between that concentrated product coming out of that bottle and then being properly applied on a customer's property or business that can make it not as effective as it could be. And I think that gap is the education piece, to be able to say, this is how you store it. This is how you mix it. In this instance, you would want to mix it at the max label rate. In this instance, that would not be a good idea. And you want to mix it at a either mid rate or a low rate. And so that's neat that education is a big part of what you're still up to and what you're still doing. Ed, I definitely want to give you the last word as we start to round this out or start to close this out. I kind of shared with you the audience. It's normally C-suite level, upper level managers, mid-level managers, a lot of employees of these home service companies from the $500,000 to $250 million range. They listen. What would, as we're, and again, this will go live at the beginning of the year, what do you say to them to make their 2023 a little bit better than their 2022? How, and then finally, if people want to continue the conversation, what's the best way for them to be able to do that with you?
Sure. The one thing I will say is I think, the state of our market is strong. I think we will see continued growth in pest control. Again, to reiterate what we said earlier, we're going to see a lot of new and interesting technologies coming. And I would say grab on to those, look and see how they fit your business and what makes sense to you. And I think that you will see increased performance with lower impact on the environment in the near future on a lot of different on a lot of different fronts. So exciting stuff that should make everybody feel good that job's pretty secure. We should continue to grow, and there's going to be some good, new, better stuff on the horizons coming. And then the best way to get a hold of me is ed.bredemeyer, BREDEMEYER, at pertinentah.com is probably the best way to get a hold of me, or reach out. I've also have a Fishers of Men 44 at outlook.com. That's my kind of private consulting email. So either one of those, I'd gladly reach out and help any way I can in the industry. I love like I said, mosquito control market and structural pest control market are kind of my first love. So if it's kind of in those fields, I'd be glad to talk to whomever would like to.
Wonderful. Ed, thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for your time and some of the things that you shared with us. I share your excitement about the outlook of pest control. It's not going anywhere. The bugs don't know there's a recession or not. They don't know they don't know who's in the White House, and they don't care. And they're just going to keep coming, and we'll keep hanging on to our customers if we keep showing up, doing a good job, communicating real well with them. So Ed, fantastic to have you on. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and patching in. Until next time, we'll catch you next Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.